Hello, chess friends, and thank you for watching Chesslovers channel. I have so far talked about 88 endgame books, but unfortunately I didn't speak about perhaps the most suitable endgame book to read. And the reason I didn't do it was because I didn't have the book you can now see that I'm holding in my hand. I have had this book a couple of years ago in the Swedish language. Then it was called Grundbok i slutspel. I also had a German edition of this book, Was man über das Endspiel wissen muss. But now I have acquired the English version, Chess Endings, Essential Knowledge. And the book really contains what the title promises it should do. Essential chess endings. Averbakh is the most famous endgame theoretician, and already in the 50s he started to think about writing a booklet, a simpler book about endgames, while he was working on his more advanced books, like these. These 8 books are certainly for more advanced players, and they can also be seen as dictionaries. So it's a really great idea that he has written such a book, and it has been very popular. According to what is written in this book, it has been translated to at least 10 languages. And this book was published in 1993 by Everman. It was published in the Russian language 1960. And apparently it has sold very well. But is this a better book to read than, for example, Dvoretzky's Endgame manual? When I talked about this book in my earlier clip about 87 endgame books, I mentioned that this book is actually 2 books. Because if you read what is written in blue print in this book, for example, here you can see how it's written in blue. You can read that book first, but Dvoretzky's book is clearly on higher level than this one. So I think if you are a beginner, if you are a club player, let's say a player under 1800 ELO, then I think this would be an excellent choice. I shall tell you the structure in the book, and it consists of 5 chapters. The first chapter is titled Mating the Lone King, with the subchapters Mate with a Queen, Mate with a Rook, Mate with 2 bishops, Mate with Bishop and Knight, Mate with 2 knights. And as we all know, you can't mate with 2 knights. So Averbakh shows this in this position. So if the knight goes to f6 or h6, knight f6 check, Black's king will obviously go to f8 and not to h8, because that would be a mate after knight f7 mate. And it also shows how you can win such a position if Black has a pawn, because then there is no stalemate in the position, and then white can actually mate black. So the difference with this book, Essential Knowledge, and the more advanced books by Averbakh is that there is no Troitsky line, which more advanced players would focus on. So in this way, the book is more fundamental. The second chapter then, various pieces in combat. It contains the following subchapters: Queen versus Rook, Queen versus minor piece, Rook versus Knight, Rook versus Bishop. And Queen versus Rook, for example, then he shows this position, constructed by Philidor, 1777. And if you're familiar with this endgame, you know that you want to reach this position with black to move. So you want to put him in a Zugzwang position. So all important positions are contained in this book. Chapter 3 then, various pieces in combat with a pawn, Queen versus pawn, Rook versus pawn, minor piece versus pawn. And to show that his book is very pedagogical and easy to read, even if you don't have access to a chessboard, you can look at this position, where you can see some bullet points. So if the king goes to one of these squares, black would be able to fork the king and the pawn. So white has to play king f7, king e8, king d8, king c7, and then black would win time to get his own king to c7 when black has captured the knight on a8. So it will be a stalemate position. So it's very instructive position. In the fourth chapter, which he has baptized to Queening a Pawn, he has the following subchapters: King and Pawn versus King, King, minor piece and Pawn versus King, Knight and Pawn versus Knight, Bishop and Pawn versus Bishop, Bishop and Pawn versus Knight, Knight and Pawn versus Bishop, Rook and Pawn versus Rook, Queen and Pawn versus Queen. So I think that Averbach's way of classifying the endgames is very instructive. So instead of saying pawn endings, he's more specific. And the main theme is queening a pawn. And there are many instructive positions in that chapter. Chapter 4. We will go to the last chapter, which for a more advanced player is more interesting. It's called practical endings, and then he has the traditional classification: pawn endings, knight endings, bishop endings, bishops of the same color, bishops of opposite color, endings with bishops versus knight, rook endings, queen endings. And he has the famous endings like, for example, Stolz Kashtan, where black's bishop is superior to white's knight. So this position arose in a game played in The Hague, 1928. It's a classic endgame everybody should know. And of course, there are a lot of rook endgames, and the most famous is this one, which you can find in practically every book about rook endings. So it arose in the game Alekhine Capablanca, in the decisive game in Buenos Aires, 1927. And it was because of his skill in this endgame, Alekhine managed to become world champion. So the position is won if black gets a rook behind the pawn, because the pawn is on the 5th rank. In Dvoretsky's book, you can find a similar ending, but then black has managed to blockade the pawn 1 square up, so to speak. And it was Botvinnik who held the draw in that game. So Dvoretsky's book is slightly more advanced, the so-called blueprint book. Of course, he's also discussing this famous ending between Capablanca Tartakover, where white sacrifices several pawns to activate his king, rook, and pawn. And it was played in New York, 1924. And in the section about queen endings, there are several queen endings with Maroshi, the great queen endgame expert. So this book is a clear recommendation if you are a beginner, if you are a club player. But according to Averbakh, it can also be used by tournament players. It should be mentioned that Averbakh has written a companion volume called Chess Middlegame, Essential Knowledge. But we will not talk about it for the moment. Another reason I like this book very much, I would say that this book is also for advanced players, because there are a few positions you don't expect in this book, but apparently Averbakh regard them as important, and he's certainly right about it. And what surprised me with this book was his emphasis on bishop endings, which according to my experience is pretty unusual. So he talks about these 4 cases, but also about this famous bishop ending where Capablanca is involved. So he has put it in the chapter Queening a Pawn, Bishop and Pawn versus Bishop, page 47. I will show you exactly which position I'm referring to. Yeah, here we have it. Capablanca Janowski, New York, 1916. And this might look like a pretty unusual endgame, but Fischer managed to hold the draw against Taimanov in Buenos Aires, 1960. You can see the position here. So while Capablanca managed to win, Taimanov couldn't beat Fischer because Fischer already knew this endgame. And I have also found this game, this position in a game between Noto Kramling, Stockholm, 1985. You can see it here. It's in the Swedish chess magazine. And Noto and Pierre Kramling looks like this in 1985. And Kramling had the extra pawn, and like Capablanca, she also managed to win this bishop ending. So I can certainly recommend this book. So essential knowledge really means important positions. And how many diagrams are there? Yeah, the total is 147 diagrams. So it's a rather slim book, which you can use when you are on the commuter train. So you don't need a chessboard, even though that would be my recommendation. So Averbakh is perhaps your best friend when it comes to endings. But as I have mentioned before, if you don't have access to this book, or maybe you think you are not on that level, there are many other friends in the endgame. I have mentioned, for example, Rubin Fine. We just mentioned Dvoretsky. And in the German language, we have Chiron. And there are several other modern books by, for example, John Nunn, Carsten Müller, etc. So perhaps it doesn't matter which book you have. The most important is that you get down and do a serious studies of Endgame. And then I think this book is very suitable, because the positions are also practical, even the theoretical positions, like the one we just saw between Capablanca and Janowski. It was both theoretical and practical, because it has arose in practical games pretty often. So that was my idea of today. I might return in the future and talk more about this book in the future.